And looking for a critique group that you're going to feel comfortable in exposing your heart and sinew and marrow of your life, whether it's a fiction writer or nonfiction. Every writer has part of who they are in their writing, and it's a really scary thing to put that out there for total strangers in the beginning to look at. And then to know that you're going to get criticism back. How do you do that safely? So one of the things I talk about in my book, No Red Pen, is be selective about who you give your writing to first. Okay, we share our writing with our family and friends, and they tell us how much they think it's great, and we think we're wonderful writers, but that's because they love us, and they're only going to tell us what's nice. And we share it with complete strangers because they're going to tell us the brutal truth, and then we get crushed. So how do we find the middle road? One way is to look at where you are in your path as a writer. So if where you are is just getting a story written, going to a writing group where they're all actively published and they all already have books, that writing group is going to be a little more cutthroat in terms of what you're ready to receive hearing. And they're going to have an expectation of skill that you probably aren't at yet. Going to a writing group that is just your genre or just the type of writer that you are may be the place to start. Maybe you write stories about the San Francisco gay male society. Well, going to a Christian writers writing group is probably not a good fit. So you want to look at the different types of writing that's being done in the group. If you're a young adult writer, maybe being a young adult. As you progress in your writing and in your skills and you need more depth of feedback in terms of where it's coming from, in terms of experience and perspective, you might then go to a group that has all the genres represented, because you can still provide good feedback regardless of your genre, depending on what the writer is at a place to hear. So look for what type of group to be in. Does it meet your social? Is it a social group, really? A place to meet other writers, just to have people to talk to? Is it hardcore business where we're self-publishers, we're independent authors, we're looking for other independent authors that we can talk independent author as well as writing? Or is it just I want to talk vampires and werewolves, and so I only want paranormal people in my writing group? You look at where you are, and that's who you go find. And then once you figure out the type of group, you have to figure out how does the group work? Does it work for you? Because like any other human endeavor, there's interaction. And if there's not respect for boundaries and understanding of the rules, both formal and informal, and know what to do, you'll feel an outsider, you won't feel accepted, you won't feel like you have anything to contribute, or you'll resent what other people are doing. If you're the author that always bring 10 pages, never more than 10 pages, your pages are always an inch margin all around and they're double spaced, so it's a consistent amount of reading that you expect people to do, and you always have it ready for them on time that it's scheduled for, great. And then you have two people in the group that they bring 15 pages worth of work crammed into 10 pages so they can meet the 10-page limit and expect the same level of quality. You've got to have a way in your group for dealing with that kind of thing. So you need boundaries and guidelines about how to interact. And that's a key chapter in No Red Pen, because it talks about all the different things that can be part of a group, all the different ways to figure out how do you put an expectation in of how often do you read, how often do you write, how much time do you spend, or how much do you expect people to spend on your work. And there's a lot of factors in this. And then, are you going to be an online virtual writing group? Are you going to be a group that meets in the community? Well, if you're meeting in the community, are you meeting in someone's house? Are you meeting in a business? Are you eating in a coffee shop? These are all things to consider when you're interviewing a writer's group. Now, my process when I first started looking for a writing group was you looked in the classified ads of your local weekly paper or on the coffee house bulletin board, you found it, you called the number, they said meet us at this place at this time, and you'd show up, and then you'd get interviewed by all the, these strangers would interview you about your writing, and I'll let you know if we want you in our group. So that's like a job interview. You have all the power, I'm just trying to please let me in your club. And the reality is it's a two-way interview. It's not just let me in your club, but it's I need to see if I want to be in your club. So some really informed questions to ask us, well, how do you decide who gets to read and when? What's the expectation for how long is the piece that's going to be submitted? Do we read the pieces in advance so all we do is talk about the work in the meeting, or do we read the pieces at the meeting? And if so, am I expected to read it out loud, or do we all sit and read our own copies? What if we have a conflict? How do you deal? You could think of 25,000 questions that you could ask the writing group about, as well as when they ask you, what's your genre, are you published, whatever they're going to ask. So you want to be an informed consumer with the writing group. And so these are all some of the things you think about when you decide to look for a writing group.
Please review our other available content for help writing, publishing, and marketing your book. If you have any questions about the Author Learning Center, please contact us by email at authorsupport@authorlearningcenter.com.